All right, here's our video for tangent notes. You picked up two things today. One were the notes, and one was a unit circle with everything filled in, including tangent values at each angle. So remember we talked in the last lesson that on the ordered pairs, the x value is your cosine value at that angle. The y value is your sine value, or the y coordinate is your sine value. Now I've also added in all the tangents on here, and those are boxed. So what we're going to do on the lesson is show you mathematically how we got those values. So on this first section we'll do it with math, and then on this bottom section you'll evaluate tan just by reading your unit circle. So at the top of this section, we have this equation, that tangent of an angle. So remember that symbol is theta. It stands for an angle measure, or an angle. So tangent of some angle is equal to the sine value of that angle over the cosine value of that angle. And using the unit circle, we would get the sine from the y value and cosine from the x value. Now, if you noticed, most of the x values on your unit circle are fractions. So when we plug them in here and we have a division with a fraction on the bottom, what we're going to have to end up doing is multiply by the reciprocal. That means flipping the fraction on the bottom and changing the division to multiplication. You might also hear me call this keep, change, flip. It means keep the numerator value the same, change the division to multiplication, and then flip the bottom value. So here we're going to be doing some of that. So in the first problem, it says to evaluate tan of pi over 6. So this is going to be sine of pi over 6 over cosine of pi over 6. So we find pi over 6 on our unit circle. The sine value is going to be the y coordinate, which is 1/2, and the cosine value is going to be the x coordinate, which is rad 3 over 2. So filling those in, I have 1/2 over rad 3 over 2. So because I have a fraction in the denominator, I'm going to apply the keep, change, flip, or multiply by the reciprocal property. So that means the numerator stays the same, 1/2. Change the division to multiplication, and then take the reciprocal of the bottom fraction, or flip the fraction that's in the denominator. So instead of rad 3 over 2, I'm going to have 2 over rad 3. Now when you're multiplying fractions, you multiply across the top and across the bottom. But also what I'm going to do to make my math easier here is I notice that there's a 2 on top and on bottom. So anytime that happens, you can cancel them out. 2 divided by 2 is just 1. And then another thing I'm going to do here before I actually multiply is I'm going to rationalize my denominator. We talked about how we don't leave radicals in the denominator. This is an irrational number. So I'm going to get rid of it by multiplying it by itself, bottom and top. And now what happens is along the bottom, the radicals cancel, leaving me just 3. And on the top, I have 1 times rad 3, which is just rad 3. So that is the tangent value at pi over 6. So if you look on your unit circle that I gave you, that value is boxed right there, rad 3 over 3. So I want you to pause the video, and I want you to try this problem, tangent of 5 pi over 6. All right, so I have my work here. You probably realized that this is the same math as the problem we did above. The only difference is that the denominator was negative. So I didn't do that math again. I just wrote the answer rad 3 over 3 and made it negative. All right, so now we move on to these are quartile angles. So if I'm trying to evaluate tan or tangent of 0 degrees, that's sine of 0 over cosine of 0. So 0, the ordered pair there is 1, 0, because we went a length of 1 in the x direction, and then we went 0 up or down. So the y, so sine is the y value there, which is 0, and cosine of 0 degrees is the x value of 1. And 0 divided by anything is 0. Now you pause and do tangent of 90. All right, here's my work, sine of 90 over cosine. That gives me 1 over 0. And in this instance, we actually are going to call this undefined, because you cannot take something and divide it by 0. You can't take something that exists and divide it into 0 pieces. And so we call that undefined. If you do it on a calculator, you might get something that just says error or something like that. All right, so this is mathematically how to calculate tangent using the values on the unit circle. But now you're just going to practice using the unit circle to identify what the values for tangent are. So on this unit circle, I have all the tangents filled in. They're all boxed. You're just going to practice finding the angle or radian measure and writing whatever the tangent value is on the unit circle. So pause your video and take a minute and do that. Okay, here are the answers along the bottom. So go ahead and pause your video and check what you got. And that's it.